Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head, and today we're back with another piece of gear and another beer. Yeah, that's right. It's your weekly dose of gear and beer. I'm Colin True. I spent over 20 years working for brands and makers in the outdoor industry.
And I am still Justin Hausman. I also spent over 20 years working for brands and makers in the outdoor industry.
Did you? God, there's so much we don't know about each other.
Yeah. I'm 65 years old. So I did that before I did what I do now.
What is it you do now?
Well, I'm a journalist and a professional gear reviewer. I am the senior editor at Adventure Journal and, maybe most importantly, a certified beer expert /
Yeah, we're changing
nerd
this
dork.
next week. Last week, still you have so many qualifications.
Yeah.
Where did you work in the outdoor industry?
Some Barston and
brand.
Sons. Yeah, they made really very good outdoor stem.
Today we'll be reviewing a piece of gear the way you would expect gear to be reviewed on the Rock Fight, because we don't talk about stack height, geometry, or width underfoot. We talk about the experience, our likes and dislikes, and then we take that piece of gear and we pair it with the perfect post-activity beverage, because Justin's a Cicerone, which is a certified beer expert. It's a real thing, guys. You can look it up. All right, the bottom line is here you'll get the pairings that matter most, gear and beer. And Justin, what gear and what beer are we reviewing today?
We are kicking off with my favorite piece of vehicular modification I think I've ever done, which is my Softopper Miracle collapsible camper shell on my pickup. So apologies if you don't have a pickup. I guess this probably won't apply to you that much, but it's still so cool. I think you'll enjoy hearing about it.
Maybe if you want to pick up and you're worried about,
good point. I don't have to buy a camper shell because that's
right.
dumb. So yeah, that's good. Very good point. And thanks to our friends at 10 Barrel Brewing, we are on week 2 of 4 consecutive weeks of 10 Barrel beers. They reached out and they wanted to donate some suds to our cause. So I went to work as our head Cicerone and our pairings expert, and I picked 4 awesome products to go with what we presume are going to be 4 awesome beers. We know the first one was awesome. We loved last week's, the Cloudy Mentality.
The first one was so good. You know, it's funny editing last week's because we both said that we didn't think our wives would like the cloud mentality, and then you texted me over the weekend. You're like, my wife likes this beer.
It's crazy. Like she won't even touch an IPA normally, and it was 7%, and she's pretty sensitive to like high alcohol stuff. But man, she drank half of the 6-pack.
I'm a little worried. At 10 Barrel, I just want to let you know I am a little worried. We started high. It's going to be tough to match.
True. Well, apparently this one is their flagship beer, the Apocalypse.
Yeah, it's the Apocalypse. I don't know if we said that. Is it the Apocalypse? It's the Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. You'd think it would be Hopocalypse or Apocalypse or some kind of play on hops, but it's not. It's just Apocalypse. Just a regular
kudos
Apocalypse.
To 10 Barrel.
Yeah.
For not taking the easy road there.
Totes.
That would have been so easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into Justin's breakdown of the Softopper, we have a couple of housekeeping items. First, we want you to sign up for Rock Fight's newsletter, because you'll like it. That's why you should do it. It's the kind of email that you like to receive. Second, to all of our new listeners, welcome to the Rock Fight and to Gear and Beer. Now, if you could, please click that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever app you're listening to us on. Follows, ladies and gentlemen, make the world a better place. So please do your part. And lastly, do you want to tell us about your favorite gear or beer or make suggestions for future episodes of Gear and Beer? We want to hear from you. Send your suggestions and feedback to myrockfight@gmail.com. All right, man. Well, let's get into it with this week's gear.
Well, so I, as per usual with these, I have covered this before on Adventure Journal. We made a really cool video of me driving around in Joshua Tree, with the top up and down and halfway and all kinds of stuff. And I run through how much I like that. Yeah, we're going to link to it. So go check that out. I think there's a written review too, but you pretty much see all you need to see in the video. But I've had, I counted the other day, 1, 2, 4. This is my 4th pickup truck I think I've had in my entire life. And it's always the same process where I buy it and I'm like, this is so fun. Like, wow, look at this open bed. This is great. And the moment you put something in it and then in the bed and then want to go somewhere, you're like, shit. Here it is, world. Here's my surfboard, it sucks. And so then you go drop what used to be $2,000 on a fiberglass camper shell, but now it's $4,000 or $5,000 on a fiberglass camper shell if you want a fancy one. And you have the security and stuff, but then you've basically turned your truck into a more or less like an SUV, with a hardened top, and with but without extra seating, and it's really hard to reach in and grab stuff in the front, of the truck bed when you have a shell on it. And it's not it's permanent. I mean, you can take them off, but you're not going to. I mean, I don't think I've ever taken off a camper shell on the back of my truck before. I mean, it's a huge pain in the ass. So I didn't want to. So I got a Nissan Frontier about, I think, like 2 years ago this month, and really did not want to put a camper shell on it. Kind of knew I wasn't going to, and I would just deal with it, you know. And for a long time I did. I'd just go to the beach with surfboards in the back, and I'd only bring one surfboard because I couldn't like leave a surfboard in the back of the truck. But what really like pushed me over the edge was I was camping, I don't know, probably the first summer I had it. And I was on the way back from my favorite little zone, the Eastern Sierra, and I went up over Monitor Pass, which is Highway 89 in Northern California. So shout out to anybody who knows that. It's a pretty sweet road. And I dropped down to do a little fly fishing, like right next to the highway. And I mistakenly assumed that there was like a fisherman's code, right? Like that, like this, like you were only parking here if you were fishing. Like that's it. There's no other reason to park on this little strip. And there were like two other vehicles in front of me, and I'm like, all right, this should be fine. And it was a pretty open stretch of highway. There wasn't like a ton of traffic, but you couldn't see the road. You had to like clamber down to the creek. And so I was down there. I fished for maybe an hour, and I had like everything. And I was coming home. Thank God I was coming back, but I had everything in my truck, all exposed, including my Yeti cooler, which in retrospect was stupid. I wasn't down there that long before I heard like a clunk, like, and then like engine start and leave like really fast, like a super fast engine start to driving away situation. I'm like, shit. Hopefully that wasn't what I thought it was. And I come back up, and sure enough, the Yeti's gone. And it sucked. Like I was so mad. I had like a few beers left, like some food I didn't eat that I was gonna eat later. I usually buy like an insane amount of food even on my solo camping trips. But I was like, I can't do that anymore. Like, this sucks. Like, it never feels good when you have the bed of your truck loaded up with stuff. You like park at the grocery store or something on the way to wherever you're going, and you're just like praying that nobody like nabs your shit while you're in the store.
Yeah, right.
So I had seen pickups with soft tops around, and if you're not familiar, they are basically like a super heavy duty canvas fabric stretched over an aluminum frame. And I'd seen them around, and I thought, let's give it a shot. And so I was a little bit bummed to see that they're like $900, which is a lot of money, but it's still way cheaper than a fiberglass shell. Right. And I kind of didn't know what to expect. The idea with them is that they the frame kind of like you can do a lot of different things with it. You can. When it's on and it's stretched taut, it looks just like a normal camper shell, but you can tell that it's fabric. And then you can either roll the sides up and like kind of clip them as they're rolled up, and so it almost looks. I call it safari style. I don't know if they do or not, but so it kind of looks like a safari Jeep would, where you have like a canvas roof but open sides, and that's how it is right now. It's like that all summer. For the most part. And then you can also just push the whole frame forward, and it completely collapses on itself and just kind of stows away behind, like right at the front of the bed of your truck, which is absolutely genius. It's such a brilliant thing. And it's easy. It takes seconds, and you can do it a million times. It's not like it's a big production. Like, oh shit, I got to like unfold or refold the thing. It's really simple. And so when you want that experience of having the open bed, or you need it because you want to put something tall or whatever in there, you just put the camper shell down. When you want to protect everything that you have in there because it's raining or you're going to go into the store or something like that, you just extend it and close it up. There's downsides. It doesn't lock, but that's fine. But even if it did lock, someone really determined could get in there with a knife. And I've thought about ways to try to like rig a lock for it, but I don't think you really can.
But if you'd had that day, because then your tailgate's locked, right? You're not getting that cooler.
No, nobody would have got. I mean, like, it doesn't. All you really have to do is unzip the window. Although they do make them, I believe, without windows. But like mine has a vinyl window in the back, and you just have to unzip that and flip it forward, and like you could get in there. But that's enough. Like I don't think. I mean, obviously, the people would do that, but I don't think people would. Like I don't like that situation. Someone wasn't going to unzip my zipper and then just see what was in there, and then like it's kind of hard to get the Yeti out at that point. Like it would.
It's like putting a club on your car back in the day. It's like a deterrent. Yeah, like there's ways to get past.
I mean, the Yeti,
it's
like you just walked by, whoop, right out of the back into your truck, gone. And
do you think those people feel guilty? I just can't imagine stealing. I understand the temptation in the moment, but I feel like if that was me, like and 3 hours later, I'm like, oh my god, I'm such an asshole.
They had a whole, I don't want to burn any bridges here, but like the truck in front of me was like jacked up and had like a bunch of like really aggressive like like automatic rifle stickers all
choices.
over it. And I would just, I don't know that it was them, and I don't have a problem with guns, but it looked like the kind. I remember being like, when I parked there. And the only thing that makes me feel kind of good about the whole thing is like a baby blue color, and I'm like, oh, there's no way they're like, they probably hate the color.
The cooler was baby blue.
Yeah, it was like a baby blue one.
What is the upside of a camper shell? Like, so I'm the guy with my first. Is that the only thing?
That's the only thing. I mean, security, and I guess like if you. And like weatherproofing, I mean, like having an open bed, it's like, oh, like if it's going to rain, you have all your camping. And this is entirely for like camping purposes, I'm thinking, so if it's raining, that sucks, if it's snowing, that's fine unless if you get your stuff out in time. Otherwise it sucks when it melts.
It sucks, right?
Or like, even like just like kind of, most of the time when I'm in the summer, I'm driving a long distance on like dirt roads, and like, stuff will get really dirty back there. So
sure,
that's why. And like, I mean, my trucks in the past always had them for surfboards, because I could take like 4 boards and you just lock the camper shell, and it's just like having a giant trunk. It makes the truck really inaccessible when you have a permanent shell on it. I would never do that again. It's like you bought a truck for the bed, that's otherwise why do you have it, right? And so it's like, if you're gonna like retrospectively now, like I would just buy an SUV if I was gonna buy a truck with a hard and intending up
with a camper
with an intention of putting a camper shell on it. You just fold the back seats flat, and you basically have a truck bed, and it's way easier to get into it and deal with it. And then when you want to have extra seating, you can fold the seats back up. So to me, it makes no sense to have a fiberglass shell on a truck. I mean, unless if you just want a truck and you don't care about that, that's fine. But I mean, get a 4Runner, get something that's a bit more has more utility than just like permanently like just being seating that you're never going to have an open truck bed again. Because it's just so sweet to have an open truck bed. It's just awesome. Like you go on surfing, you stand in the back, you can put your suit on. Like if you need to move something that's tall, like just like throwing bikes in like I usually don't bother with a rack. I'll just put my bike in the back and put and like you with a shell on it, you can do that, but it's a pain in the butt. It's just so much better. Plus the visibility is like off the charts when you don't have a shell. It's really hard to see out of a truck with a shell. And
that's pretty ingenious.
Let's be real here. I mean, like a huge part of the fun of having a truck is like leaning over the rail, right? Like it's incredible. Like no matter what happens, so if I'm like in the front talking to a neighbor, both of us will end up without even realizing it, elbows over the truck rail, just like talking to each other over the bed of my truck. No reason to be doing it, but you just can't help yourself.
So this is my first truck. It's a little Ford Maverick. My kids have never been raised around trucks, around anything. As soon as we brought it home, it's like, I want to get in the back.
Yeah.
They got in the back. They immediately sat on the rail. Yep. And then same thing. Yeah, if we're just sitting outside or whatever, both of us, whoever I'm talking to, invariably start leaning on the side of the truck.
Such a joy.
It's a weird instinctual thing that like, you don't even have to have it in your background. You'll just start doing it.
It's like having a bar. Like you just want to belly up to it.
Yes.
And like there's nothing better than just like sitting on the tailgate. Like having a beer on the tailgate, like, or whatever. Like the same thing. My girls love playing in the bed of the truck. Like in the summertime when I don't have it up, they absolutely love it. Now I do usually drive around with it in the safari mode because it looks badass. Like it looks so unique.
Yeah, it looks cool.
But also, like I have some stuff back there right now. I don't want to get burned by the sun. So, you can have that there too. And that's probably how I'll sleep when we go camping. Actually, I might have the top on, but not the sides. Well, so you may be wondering, will it fit mine? And probably they make like 50 different models, and they say they will fit like 99% of production trucks out there. They do make them for the Maverick, even though this is the second year they've made Mavericks. My buddy down the street has like an 89 or a 90 4Runner, like first gen cherry 4Runner, and he got one that fits his. Which is pretty cool. So they do make them for SUVs that have removable tops, like an old school 4Runner does. What else do I have to say about this thing? Colin, do you have any questions? What do you want to know?
I did some digging around earlier. So like the price ranges in that, all of them are like in $900 to $1,100. Most of them are like $989, like most of them. And there's a few that go a little higher.
Yeah, $1,100 is probably if you get the fancy extra windows.
Right. They're available. You can buy them direct. They were also on Amazon.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure if they're at other retailers. Yep. Yeah. How old are they? Do you know how long they've been around?
They say that they don't have a date. They say that the idea started in the year 2000, but I don't know if that's when they first started selling them or not. But there's another brand, and it's a little bit confusing, called Best Top. Like sometimes you'll see that lying around, and like I've seen trucks that have best top campers. I think they made the same kind of thing, and the best top just bought Softoppper, and so now best top doesn't make their own anymore. They just sell Softopper. So I believe Softopper is owned by best top now. I believe, yeah.
Well, I think we're going to set an all-time record on like our Stuffometer and talk about the category, because like the only thing I found when I was Googling around was B-Stop. What did you say what it was called? Best Top, excuse me. Yeah. So who you think might be related somehow to Softopper. So it's kind of a one of one in a way.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. I mean, I have to give it a 10 out of 10, partially because it's literally my favorite. I mean, the only other thing that I would say is that I like cherish as much are maybe like off-road tires, because you kind of can't go wheeling without them, or like right. dedicated off-road shocks, which are pretty helpful. But other than that, for like an actual modification, like this is by far the most ingenious one I've ever had on any vehicle,
right?
Like ever. Like it's transformative in terms of what it allows you to do. And effectively, you kind of do. It sounds dumb. You kind of feel like you have two cars, because like you get tired of how a car looks, right? So like if you have the fiberglass shell, you're going to get kind of bored of it and like tired of it. So you know what? Throw it forward, and it's that same truck you bought the first day you saw it without the shell on it. And then eventually you get tired of it not having the shell. Shell goes back up. It's great.
So if you could have this or your Bedrocks for the rest of your life, which one are you choosing?
Bedrocks.
What about your Scarpa boots?
Bedrocks. I mean, come on.
You're still the champion, Bedrock.
Well, it's like, I mean, if I could live a life without a car, hell yeah. You know, I mean, I don't really have to have the truck, but like, and a life where it's warm enough to work on Bedrocks every day. Basically, I should just sell all my shit and move to Hawaii or somewhere or Mexico. Probably make more sense.
We're going to have to do like a best of at the end of the year, best of gear and beer, and then like send like a championship belt to like whichever product wins like for the year, like the gear of the year.
There's some things that just make you smile, right? And like Best Rocks. Best Rocks. That's would have been a good name. Yeah, maybe not. Bedrock was pretty good. But Bedrocks are one of those things. And so is a Softopper.
All right, well, let's now turn our attention to after the activity at the break to put in the trailhead. We're going to crack open the cooler and imbibe a beverage so we can celebrate our wins and losses in the backcountry. When you lost that Yeti, that was a real loss. Let's have a beer. So we've just gotten to camp. We've unloaded all of our gear from the back of the truck that was safely stowed there during our journey. We're relaxing, in the evening by a fire. Out of the cooler, we pull a 10-barrel Apocalypse.
It's cold.
Justin, why is this the pairing that matters most to the Softopper?
Well, did we mention that we're on 10-barrel brewing 4-peat?
Because they sent it to us.
Because it is here, and we only have 4 of them. They have to loosely match.
And it's 10-barrel month.
The only thing I could come up with is if you don't own a truck and then you buy one, you will feel at least like 5% more prepared for the apocalypse. That really is true.
Oh, I can guarantee. I concur.
You know, like if it's like some sort of hideous storm or something, I'm always like, well, at least we have a 4-wheel drive truck. That's it. I mean,
I can't say that.
That's really it. No, you can't. You don't really have a truck.
I get
you
great
have
gas
a truck.
mileage,
you have a car that looks like a truck.
That's true. Actually, there's really not. There's no shame in that.
None at all. It's freaking awesome. I'd kind of rather have a Maverick than my Frontier. But so yeah, this is it. This is their Apocalypse IPA. Hold on, I jotted down some notes. We didn't really get that much into the history of the brand before, but they've been around since 2006, kind of. It looks like they were 2 twin brothers freaked out about their corporate jobs, and who wouldn't blame them, or who would blame them for that? And then they moved from Portland to Bend, and they ran a bar, and then they liked beer so much they started to start a little brewery. They first called it Wildfire, which is a pretty cool name.
That's a pretty good name. Yeah, I like
there's like some restaurant somewhere that sent them like a cease and desist, and so they're like, well, all right, we have 10 barrels in our brewery, so that's what they got. 10-barrel, which 10 barrels is a pretty good name. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's a good name. And I guess they're twin brothers. I don't know if they're identical or what.
What should we expect from the Apocalypse? It's another IPA.
Another IPA.
It's not a hazy though, right? This is not a hazy.
It's not a hazy. I believe. Do they call this one a West Coast? It has Chinook, Cascade, and Amarillo hops, which amongst others, but those are kind of like the big 3 for West Coast IPAs. So pretty piney, pretty like probably gonna taste like a in a good way, like a mouthful of pine needles.
What's the IBUs on
70?
This one?
Which so IBUs are a bit. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, so it's probably going to be pretty bitter, like kind of mouth puckeringly so. But
because this is our 3rd consecutive pale ale, right?
Yeah,
we had the Sierra, which was in the 30s.
Yeah, but felt pretty bitter to me.
Yeah, which actually felt more bitter than last week's, the cloudy mentality or whatever, which I think was a higher IBU, but felt less bitter. Yeah, like
I can't remember what it was, 40s or 50s. A hazy though will do that because the hazy and the nature of the hops they use are a little bit juicier, so the juicy hops will kind of cut through the.
But this one, no matter what, 70s, it's got to be.
It's going to be pretty bitter.
Like the most.
It's going to be pretty bitter.
Yeah. All right, should we do this?
Let's do this.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. It smells like an IPA.
It smells like an IPA. Good color. It's pure gold.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Pure gold. Maybe a little straw.
Cheers, buddy.
Here we go. I'm going in.
Me too.
Just going to lean up against the truck bed.
God, I wish we were outside right now. That's
okay.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's better out of a glass than out of a can.
Kind of classic.
There's the 70 IBUs on the back. Has a pretty bitter back end. But it's not dry. It's not a bad aftertaste. It's not a dry bitterness. It's like it's a good bitterness.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, this is a pretty juicy beer. It's actually more fruity than piney.
But way more way more piney than last week.
Mm-hmm. There's some interesting.
Oh, it looks so good. The color, looking at the color, and I can see it on your ends. You have more sunlight.
Yeah, the sunlight. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful beer. Beautiful. It's really pretty.
That's the kind of beer if you walked into a bar, you're like, I'll have that. Whatever that guy's 100%. Drinking, right? Yeah,
100%. And more beer should be poured into ball jars because it just looks right.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
There's something funky going on with the yeast on this one, I think. Maybe.
Really?
Maybe not. So yeast can definitely add a flavor element to a beer depending on what kind of yeast it is. There's some, I don't know, feels like there's something else going on here. I'm surprised it's only 6.8%. It tastes bigger than that to me. I mean, 6.8 is pretty good punch, but like it tastes like it's got more alcohol. It's not really refreshing. You're probably just going to have one. Which
is kind of funny. I mean, it's only 6.8 versus 7. Like last week, we talk a lot about how drinkable that beer
super
was.
Drinkable. And this is.
And
it feels more complex, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel like the last week is like that's the one you have like before you get seated at the restaurant, and this is the one you have with dinner.
Yeah, this would be a really good food beer with like really spicy food. Spicy food and IPA goes pretty good together. People don't think that, but it does. Mm-hmm. Or something really fatty and just disgusting would be good with this, like a chili dog barbecue. Yeah. Just
like a pizza with like 6 meats on it.
IPAs go so good with pizza, but yeah, something heavy and fatty and rich. This would be really good with it. I wouldn't eat this.
It finishes pretty clean though. Like,
you know what was making me think of the some interesting yeast. There's almost a banana in here a little bit, and just a little bit, like a faint. Just I'm getting a little bit of a relief. It could just be that I associate banana with tropical fruit, and IPAs tend to have that, but.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I feel like I was getting a tiny little whiff of banana, which can either be an off flavor, but I don't think it is here, or certain yeasts have that flavor. Pretty cool. Pretty good job. Good job, 10 Barrel.
10 Barrel, you are crushing it. Yeah, now we do move into some higher alcohol content beers in the next 2 weeks.
I'm a little scared of that. I'm afraid
I am as well.
But
the pairings are going to be interesting for those.
Yeah.
So we got last week the cloud mentality.
Yeah. Cloudy mentality.
Cloudy mentality. We both went 9.
Yeah.
So. What are we thinking for? Was there anything actually before we get to that? Is there anything more? This is our first IPA, like just straight IPA. Like last week was the hazy.
Yeah, I think that's true.
No, you had Founders All Day IPA.
Yeah, but that's more of a. I disagree with it. You can't have an IPA that's only 4% That's more of a pale ale.
Okay,
but yeah.
So compare and contrast then this versus that Founders. Like what are some of the differences?
Well, it's way bigger. It's a much bigger beer. I mean, the Founders is lighter in color, mouthfeel, alcohol, flavor, everything. I mean, the Founders to me, like they call it IPA because it's like, oh, you can drink this IPA all day, but they're just like kind of trading on the fact that you want to drink 10 IPAs.
So it's basically like an American pale ale.
Kind of. Yeah, I would say that. But even then, still lighter than most American pale ales. I mean, I love that beer so much. But this is much more of like a. This is like a tasting beer, right? Like if you go to like a brewery and they give you like tastings, this is kind of what you want. Right. This is if you were thinking I would like to have an IPA right now, this is exactly what you're imagining.
That's what I mean. This is like the classic.
Yeah,
what I
but
expect.
The
from
nice thing
IPA.
is about it is they didn't try to do too much. Like sometimes those sorts of beers will have just like a knife edge of bitterness that you're just like, this is unpleasant.
It's too much.
Or just like too much malt going on, which is just like makes it taste really heavy and feel heavy.
You start questioning, is this actually kind of skunky now?
This is just, it's really clean. It's got all the flavors that you want, but it just like, it just kind of drops off in a real nice way. So yeah, again, I really want to eat with this.
When you said at the beginning, you said something with the yeast. Why did you think something was going on with the yeast?
Well, so usually like, IPA yeasts are pretty inert. Like they don't add a lot of flavor. There's a fruitiness to this that it must be coming from one of the hops, or they did add like a little bit of a different kind of a yeast strain. But like if you drink like a Belgian beer, for example, which will tend to have a lot of like a fruitiness to it, that's a lot of that flavor is coming from the yeast, not anything else. Like typically, pale ales, IPAs and stuff, all the flavor you're getting is from the hops and whatever the profile is of the barley. Like if it's roasted or really light barley, like you're getting flavor there, but the hops are doing the majority of the flavoring for the most part. But this one definitely, there's just a very, very, very slight fruity funk to it that I just wonder if they've, done something interesting with the yeast. That's all. I don't know, but it's possible.
All right. Well, it's rating time. What are we going to give this thing?
I don't know if I like it as quite as much as the hazy.
I don't. I really like it, but I don't like it as much as that.
Like I feel
that was immediate. Like it's an all timer.
I feel like this is probably like an.
Wait. Do you want to know what you gave? Do you want to know what you gave the founders? Does it matter?
No, I don't want to know.
Okay.
Because I like to do these, one at a time. It's very mood based as well. Which, frankly, that's the deal with beer, right? Same thing as wine. Like if you're in a great mood, you're gonna be 10, 10, 10, whatever. But like. I mean, I like 8.7. I mean, it's close. I mean, it's a phenomenal beer. It's a fantastic beer.
I'm gonna look at what
I just liked the other one a little bit
10 barrels
more.
on their game, huh?
Yeah. You know what's nice about this is it's nice to be like you taste this beer and like, oh, I'm in the hands of like an expert. Like this is like somebody who knows. It's not like somebody who got really into home brewing and like walked into $10 million and started a brewery. Like this is like, oh, they know exactly what they're doing.
You've been to some of those like craft brew places, and they're like you go through like 3. Even if you're just sampling it, you're like, I don't like any of these.
Oh my god, that happened all the time when I was like running the beer bar. Like they so proud. These like reps would come in, you got to try this one, and I'd be like, it tastes like paint. I remember telling somebody that once. Like this literally tastes like paint. Like what?
All right, so you get an 8.7. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go 8. I'm fighting with like because I liked last week so much, and do I go? 8.7 feels almost too close. Like I don't want it. This is like more like an 8. You're gonna go 8.4. I'll go 8.4.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want a little bit of distance, but I agree with you. I think it's just this is the quintessential IPA.
Yeah.
It's like you want to know what IPA tastes like?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yep. But also, I feel like this is the kind of IPA that might turn on someone who doesn't like IPAs. It's not a commitment. Like you can just drink this beer. It's not like you have to like sit down and like, okay, I'm going to drink through this beer. Like this is just it's really well balanced. It's really, really kind of perfect.
What do you think we would have given this if we hadn't had the hazy first?
I would have given it a 9. I am judging against the hazy, which I said I don't do. But you know what?
The poor hazy, because then we would have been like, 9.7.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, it'd be hard to beat either of these, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to find out the next 2 weeks.
And I'm definitely the kind of beer person that thinks IPAs are the best, which is so funny because I used to hate IPAs. But to me, like, if you can make a great IPA, you've done it. I mean, theoretically, it's harder to make a Pilsner because it's really hard to mask a mistake. But I don't know. To me, like, this is the better example of someone who really is an expert at their craft making a really good beer.
All right, well, to summarize this episode of Gear and Beer, in our gear category, we have the Softoppper. Softoppper, that's the brand and like the product. I feel like it should be the Softoppper, top 100 or something. No. Okay, Softoppper, which Justin rated a 10.
Yeah.
And before you turn in for the night in the back of your truck with that Softoppper poised to keep the morning dew off your face like I won't be when we go camping in 2 weeks, the official Cicerone of the Rock Fight suggests that you should enjoy yourself with a frosty cold 10-barrel apocalypse, which Justin rated an 8.7, and I gave an 8.4 on the Gear and Beer scale. All right. That's another episode. We did it again.
We did it. Against our better judgment.
I know.
People keep wanting them.
Yeah. This show's great. All right. What did you think of this edition of Gear and Beer? Do you have a suggestion for a future edition of Gear and Beer? Or do you simply just like Gear and Beer? Send an email to myrockfight@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. The Rock Fight's a production of Rock Fight LLC. For Justin Hausman, I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening. Here to take us out, it's Krista Makes with the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.